Welcome to The Decision from Nashville EO, where you will hear the rest of the story after tough decisions were made by entrepreneurs who faced adversity and lived to tell about it.
Welcome to The Decision, the podcast by EO Nashville, by entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs, talking about the decisions that we make as entrepreneurs in the heat of battle, running our businesses, growing our businesses, salvaging the business from becoming ashes, all the problems that we have. With me today, as always, Mr. Robert Hartline.
Thank you, Eric. Love to be here with you guys.
Thanks for being here. And today, we're talking to Mr. Ramsey about all kinds of different things. You've got great hair yourself, and I know you grow hair.
Thank you. We grow hair.
Yeah. So when did you join EO?
2015. Yep.
What drove that decision?
I had a provider of digital services. They were a small company, and we decided to part ways for a year and regroup a year later. And they came in a year later, and I re-interviewed them as I promised I would. And they were different. Two young guys had sort of gotten it all together in a year. So I hired them back and re-engaged with them. And it was probably 3 or 4 meetings into our new relationship. I said, guys, what did you do that transformed your business? And they said 2 things. We hired a coach, a business coach, and we joined EO Nashville. I said, EO what? What is EO? And they explained it to me. And so within a year or so, I was like, oh my gosh, I might need to call them back. I'm having some difficulties with my business. So I did. I called them and spoke to one of the gentlemen, and he guided me to Samira. And it was about time for EO was welcoming in new members. And so I joined. It's been great. So I can't say enough good about it. I feel sorry for my friends that don't have an EO chapter in their town. I'm from Savannah, Georgia. Mm-hmm. Got some dear friends, business friends down there. And I talk about EO all the time and how I so wish that they could have this amazing resource for small businesses. Today alone, I talked to 2 EO members about completely different things. So the resource, EO, the resource is just, it's hard to put into words, quite frankly.
There are actually virtual chapters now. I have some friends that I joined the EMP program a couple of years ago, and a couple of guys are in a virtual chapter. So I'll find out more about that.
I'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah.
So at least I'll have an answer for these guys.
Yeah, and they get together. I think they have quarterly retreats, so they're in person as well. It's a great way if you're in a smaller town that doesn't have a chapter to connect with EO and be an EO member.
Yeah, that's awesome.
See, you can get everything in EO.
Yeah, well,
more information about EO
that we live in, right?
Yeah.
What brought you to Nashville?
Yeah.
I was married to a young lady that was trying to make it in music. She didn't, and neither did we. But we were dear friends, and we parted ways, and I met my wife, Cindy, shortly after that, and we've been married for right at 23 years. Yeah.
When did the business start?
So the business existed in a different form. So the Hair Club for Men, you probably remember their infomercials from years ago. There was a business here, a franchise here, and I met the owner. And at the time, I had just had hair restoration surgery in Atlanta. So my story, my business is linked directly to my personal experience with hair loss. So backing up just a little bit, I was voted best hair in high school. So when I started losing my hair in my late 20s, I'm like, this can't be happening. I got to figure something out. So I had a procedure in Atlanta. It worked well. And I just couldn't tell enough people about it. I was like, everybody should know about this, right?
Yeah.
So I came to Nashville and partnered with a guy that owned the hair club, and we started offering surgical solutions. Basically, surgical solutions are where you can take some little hair seeds from the back and side of the head where you have more than you need. And we move those seeds to an area where you need more than you have. And then you plant those seeds, and those little hair seeds start to grow hairs within 3 to 4 months. Some will take a little longer, but within 12 to 14 months, you have this sort of transformational sort of thing that happens to your appearance, to your hair. So it grows in gradually, which is a good thing. So I'm a patient, and that kind of moved me into the field.
So what about this, Doc? What can you do over here?
We can absolutely hook you up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of interested. We'll have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you have great hair to start with, I can already tell. And you've always had great hair. So
Yeah, I got lucky.
And so you partnered up, you're in business, you don't know about EO, so you've had this business for a while.
Yeah, so I've been searching. There's probably a little bit more to the story. So I think this will help set the stage for things. So I've been searching for EO for a long time, but didn't know it. So I quit college the first time. I was a pre-med student, didn't want to do that, and got involved in a small business in Atlanta for 9 years, ladies apparel and footwear. Anyway, don't ask me how I got in that, but I did. But I was the owner, and that's what mattered. And I was 25, and that's, I was young and going to conquer the world. But that was my first experience in business. And then I realized about 9 years into it, I probably should learn some stuff about how to run a business. And so I went back to school and got an accounting degree, and that helped some. And so went back and worked and decided I need to read some business books, and that helped some. And then I decided, well, maybe I should hire a coach, and that helped some too. And then I found EO, and that helped a lot. And then I found within the EO family a book that kind of finished the transformation for me. So, I'm pretty passionate about education and learning in business, and like helping other business owners.
Mm-hmm. So this is 2015. What changed for the business for you? What was the transformation ultimately that helped you in the business?
So the transformation was finding the family, the community, EO, the chapter, engaging in lots of smart people like you guys, getting involved in the forum. And then along the way, I grew and got better at what I was doing in my craft during that process. And then someone mentioned a book called Traction. And it kind of, went in one ear and out the other. And then we had a patient client that had a business. I'd met him 5 years earlier, and he was on the verge of going out of business. I mean, it was a desperate situation for him. And he chose not to use our services, but he chose to go to a less expensive provider. And 5 years later, he's back in my office, completely different person, on top of the world, working 3 to 4 days a week in his office, great family life, traveling some, financially secure, the place we all want to be. And so being a curious person, I'm like, well, what's the difference? And why are you here now? He goes, well, I can afford your services now. I wanted your services to start with, but I just couldn't make it happen. So long story short, he brought the book Traction, and I read the book Traction, and Gino Wickman was a part of EO. He may still be, but early on. And after reading the book over the course of a couple of weeks, I made the EOS sort of connection. So Traction, as you guys probably know, is EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is basically like, your laptop has an operating system. Your phone does. It's just a way to run your business better and more effectively. So those two things really transformed my business to where I am today.
And navigating that was probably helpful because a lot of EO members are doing this. So we have this common language inside a forum, inside of our chapter, where we're all kind of using this same system, so there's that common language. So that helps to add to the effect too.
Right. Well, I think there was a few things happened at the same time that the Traction kind of came into my life. It was through my EO forum, but I just lost my dad, which was pretty traumatic. And I was working all the time, and I was the problem. So the growth stopped with me because I was primarily enrolling all the new patients, interviewing all the new patients, running the business, paying the bills, all the things that go with running a small business. And I just realized there's a better way. There's got to be a better way. And so with EO Nashville and Traction, I found that better way. Yeah, so I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, the death of your father, like how did that shape your transformation? Because a death is a very powerful acknowledgement of things must change.
So the death was sort of an exclamation point to a season of my life that, now I am the oldest male in the family. I'm also the oldest child. So I have this sort of father outlook on the rest of my siblings. And it just felt heavy. And it felt like I needed to not just work through my solutions, working 12, 14 hours a day, you can do a lot, but I needed to be smarter. I needed to do things more systematically, more processes and systems, and just to grow and scale the business. There's no possible way I could have done it with what I was doing. I couldn't work harder. You can only do so much as one person. And for me, it just took me a long time to figure that part out. And then at the same time, the chapter had an event, and I don't remember the title of the event, but essentially it was sort of the kind of the top thought leaders in the EOS chapter that had sold their businesses and had a lot of success. And I remember this in particular. The moderator asked the panel, I think it was 5 or 6 successful people up there, asked the panel, do you guys run any kind of operating system for your business? And of course, I was like, I just read Traction, so I'm really tuned into it. And their hands couldn't have gone up faster. Every single one of the panelists raised their hand. And then the moderator asked it to the audience, and it was like 5 people. It was like 70, 80 people in the room. I'm like, those guys are up on that stage for a reason. And that's where I want to be. So all those little things kind of coalesced about the same time. God kind of revealed to me that, here's a new pathway for you. And so I've been marching hard down that path since then.
The vision that you created, has that vision transformed over the years?
It has a little bit. So when I first got engaged with doing the Traction EOS system, I think one of you is involved, or both of you are involved. I'm
an EOS implementer.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You are. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
So I use EOS, so I get it.
Yeah, so you both know intimately well. What was the question one more time?
Has your vision transformed?
It has transformed somewhat. I realize I'm now 64, and my capacity for that 10-year sort of picture has changed. I don't see myself nearly as engaged in that side of things, just because at that point, I'll probably have moved on to other things. But my 3-year goals are pretty robust, but the thing I've achieved is freedom. So my wife and I now, the last 4 years, because of EO and EOS, we take our motorhome down to South Florida for January and February and part of March. And then we'll go to the mountains in August. And then I can work remotely if I choose to. I can work remotely from home now if I choose to. And it's perfect because my passion is to help people with a hair loss problem, looking for a solution that I found myself, and to hold their hand through the process and to provide sort of a resource, a lighthouse for, hey, there's a better way if this bothers you. And so I can still do that, but not be tied up into day-to-day operational tidbits of what it takes to run a successful organization. So the visionary role for me, although I'm probably not the typical visionary, the visionary role for me is so relieving. It's such a relief to be bogged down in those day-to-day things.
It struck me hearing your story about your personal story about hair loss, and then working with people that come in with this problem they're having. Maybe it's the disappointment, it's maybe this attention to their face, or their things are changing, right? And it reminded me, I got hit in the face with a baseball when I was in 6th grade, and it made my nose crooked. And it was super crooked. It's still crooked today. And my 7th grade year, every day, twice a day, someone would point at my nose and go, your nose is crooked. And I was like, Yeah. And it'd be a dagger. And I would literally feel like everyone's was just paying attention to my nose. Eventually got it rebroken and reset. It's still crooked, but it's not as bad, But I would imagine that there's these people that feel less than because they don't have what they used to have. And there's a perception in the public and just in general about baldness and all that. And how do you see men that come to you with that pain or whatever? What is it like to help them? Because it's got to feel amazing.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It is. So one of the cooler things about the procedure that our billboards don't really sort of message to people, because the billboard just shows a before and after picture, right? So the consumer goes, did that just happen in a weekend? Or did that happen in a day? It takes a year for the hair to grow in. So those little seeds I mentioned earlier, some of them grow at 3 and 4 months. Others take 5 and 6. Others take 8, 9, 10, 12, some 14. So you just have this gradual transformation in a person's appearance. So where I'm going with it is when we first do the procedure, nothing happens for a few months. By the 6th month, we'll have them come in for a follow-up and you'll see a slight change. But by the 12th or 14th month, when they come in for their final follow-up, as soon as they get off the elevator, you notice this giant smile and then their hair. The hair's not always the first thing you notice because it's just so transformational for a lot of people. Especially if a guy has had a lot of hair loss and it's a big change. Like for others, you enhance somebody's hairline and it's kind of like, it looks a little better, right? But it's not that big of a change because it didn't need that to be that big of a change. But yes, it's very rewarding. I've been blessed to be able to help people with something I suffered with myself. And I've gone down that journey kind of before them and tried things that didn't work as well. And so I can caution them about those things. And, it just makes my job easier.
It's interesting because you have that personal story of helping yourself. It makes you more passionate about the business. Otherwise, some businesses, you just don't have that same level of love, for what you do. But when you're able to shape someone's life because you've experienced it, it's got to be wild. How have you leveraged EO in your business journey?
So my forum is sort of my board of directors of sorts. So, and I don't know if you guys have used your forums for kind of a similar situation, but I do. So to have a board alone, is helpful. To have folks that love and care for you, that know you intimately well, your strengths and your weaknesses, to guide and direct you is really helpful. Because they know sometimes my blind side, right? Michael, that's a great idea. However, don't forget you got this to deal with. And so it helps me make better decisions. A lot of smart people in the room is not a bad thing, right? All business people, not the same background, which is a good thing. I'm a part of, several trade organizations, and that's fine. We can talk about hair loss all day long, but that's all we talk about. So having an array of business owners with different outlooks and experiences in a room together to kind of help you is super helpful. And then the chapter alone, because the chapter is so resourceful and the team that runs this organization is just, top flight, we have unbelievable speakers and learning events that come into town. And it's just, I pinch myself a lot of times when I think about how lucky I am to just be in Nashville and to be a part of this chapter.
Was there a time where the business wasn't doing so hot?
Oh, sure. We've had more than,
you needed help with your forum?
And that's really, yes. So, since 2015, I've probably had 2 or 3 minor events where they've helped me pretty significantly, and a couple of fairly major business events, nothing super personal, although there's that too. There's that whole side of the personal thing with your forum. But yeah, it's, certainly without them, I would be doing the same old stupid thing I was doing before, just trying to do everything myself. And I would have made poorer decisions, and I'd have been even less sure of myself than I am less sure of myself. But, they just are a sounding board and a resource, and not just for good decisions, but they love and care about you, and you feel it. To me, that's the beauty of a forum is these guys care. When I get off the phone with some of these guys, I'm like, the last thing I say, I love you, brother.
Yeah.
I mean it. I have close friends I grew up with I'm not this close with. I've known for 60, years.
Yeah, it's a different journey with men that are in entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Well, and I think the concept of a confidential environment to most people is a little foreign. And I know when I went through orientation, the training, I thought, is this really real? Talk a little bit about what that experience was for you.
Well, it is a little awkward at first when you're sort of forced. You're sort of forced to be intimate with guys at first, right? And by forced, I mean there's a strong pressure to, hey, let's get to know each other. Let's genuinely care about each other. So it's not like you and I are skateboard buddies when we're 7, and that's our common thing. It's like at first, the common thing is business, right? But the other part is a little different, especially, well, I should say for me in particular, takes me a little longer to get comfortable with, being intimate with people. But yeah, once you get over that hurdle and the guys, come to your aid once or twice, you realize these guys care. I had a situation, I won't mention names for all kind of reasons, but I had a situation with a business associate, and I'm an easygoing guy. I love harmony. I hate disharmony. But one of the guys in my firm, like, let me grab my bat and we'll just take care of this right now. And he was serious. I mean, that's the love and care and concern I got from this forum member. And I'm like, whoa, that's major. It's a brotherhood. So the forum experience is, unbelievable, really.
Yeah, I've had similar responses from forum members before.
But we don't advocate violence.
We don't.
Don't.
What is it? A good forum, a friend will help you move, but a great friend will help you move a body.
Yes,
is the old joke.
Yes,
real friends don't make friends move either.
That's right.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I got enough pizza.
Yes.
I'm good.
We're old enough to pay for that now.
That closeness, it's for men in particular. It's a rare thing to have one good friend in your life, or maybe 2 if you're lucky, 3 if you're really lucky. But to have 7 good friends in your forum, it's a special thing. And again, I feel sorry for friends that don't have that opportunity. I guess the Cub Scouts are similar. I don't know, but whatever. But EO forum is special.
Yeah, I was getting interviewed on a different podcast yesterday in this very room, and I was telling Matt, our mutual friend, that everybody ought to have this experience. Everybody should have that confidential group that gets together and helps you solve problems. The concept is not new and it's not unique to EO, but it's one that really is unique to people. There's just not enough people who have that. Too often we get that whole, what you should do is this. You get the judgment. I can't believe you haven't thought of this already. And I don't really know your problem, but I'm going to tell you what might work, even though I've never experienced it before. Those are, not helpful. And there's just not enough of that Gestalt attitude of, hey, I'm only going to talk to you about the things that I know. I'm only going to tell you stories. And I'm fortunate to have experienced it. It helped me with my daughter. And I've told a lot of folks this, that, hey, you should think about this when you're parenting your kids, because kids don't want to be told what to do. And when they experience that, oh gosh, he's not telling me what to do, I have to make my own decisions. Well, they realize the gravity of the situation. It's kind of a power move, really.
It's a game changer in marriages and relationships. And,
yeah.
I remember the first time I learned the concept of Gestalt and I saw it in practice. I came home thrilled to tell my wife about it. And I told her about it because she's wonderful at telling me what to do and what not to do. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's my business or it's this or that. It's love and concern. And that's where it's coming from. But it doesn't feel good, right? And that's what we talked a little bit about. And it helped her understand when she's interacting with our son, her approach. And it's all from love. And I call her my warrior princess because that is who she is. I mean, she will do whatever it takes to protect her family. And that comes across sometimes, sometimes when she's talking to you about, what you should and shouldn't do. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, shaping the entrepreneurial story and how EO helps, and taking it to your family life and navigating how EO transformed your relationship. Like, how has EO shaped how strong you are as a couple? Because it's really hard to be for the spouse of an entrepreneur, and how we have a lot of things going, and we're not the traditional household. I mean, there is pressure, there's stress, there's obligations and things. How has EO kind of navigate and helped you there?
So at first, my wife wasn't sure about this whole EO thing, and it took her a couple of years to kind of get on board. And I don't know if that's a common thing with husbands and wives, but because I already had a lot of commitments, and she felt like, oh, here's another commitment. So at first she wasn't sure about it. And then we had a couple of events, chapter events. She got a little bit more comfortable, and our forum got together a couple of times, and she got a little bit more comfortable. And then we went on a spousal retreat, and for us, it was a game changer. I know not every forum does that, and maybe it's not best practices to do that. But for us in our forum, it was really special because it brought my wife and another wife in my forum to understand the value proposition of those relationships with other business owners. And a lot of the stuff I would bring home to her before, the frustrations and the struggles, now kind of come through my forum first that are business oriented, right? So she's not hearing all these complaints and concerns and about my business, or as much, I should say, because I've already kind of vetted them through and filtered them through 6 or 7 other business guys. Now the conversations we have are more of higher quality.
Yeah. Yeah. So what advice would you give a brand new EO member coming into their forum? What not so much advice, what would be a good experience share that could help them expand the experience?
I think if I brought a friend into EO, I was super excited about him coming into the chapter, and he came and he lasted a year and he left. And what I discovered is his approach was different. He was coming into EO just to get. What can I get from it? Who can I meet from it? How can I leverage these relationships? And that one-dimensional approach didn't serve him well. And I had a little bit of that to start with, but my attitude changed when I began to be able to give to my forum and to give to others in need in the chapter. And it was much more holistic and much healthier. And so my advice would be, just be a little bit careful about what your expectations are. Be open-minded. You can get unbelievable benefit from your forum and the chapter, but it's a give-take thing. You have to own your experience, right? We hear that quite a bit.
Yeah.
You have to be responsible for that journey and that relationship. It's not one-sided.
Yeah, speak up. Speak up if your forum is going in a direction that's not congruent to what you want out of your experience. And probably that speaking up will be something else someone else is already thinking.
Right. Open and honest, right?
Yeah.
You know about that.
Yeah, open and
EOS,
honest.
open and honest.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. And the bumps in the road our forum has had over the past, it was when people weren't open and honest about how they were really feeling.
Yeah. Well, Michael, thanks for joining us today.
Yes, thank you.
And keep growing that hair.
Thank you, brother. I'll see you soon.
I know. I'm on the verge. It's happening for me.
That's right. I got you a business card right here.
Hey. All right. So listen, if you are an entrepreneur here in the city of Nashville and you want to belong, it's lonely on this entrepreneurial journey. It's lonely not to have someone to talk to that shares the same challenges. Well, you can visit us at eonashville.com. Learn about how 345 members here in Nashville get together monthly in a forum setting and help each other with the big decision. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic rest of your week.
Thanks for listening to the Decision Podcast by Nashville EO. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.